Financial resolutions. A key to building lasting wealth? Well, not quite. Today we're discussing how these annual money promises may actually be holding us back from true financial freedom.
That's an interesting take. Why do you say that?
Well, it's not that financial resolutions are inherently bad. It's just that they often set us up for failure. Think about it. How many times have you made a New Year's resolution to save more or spend less, only to find yourself back in the same financial situation by February?
Guilty as charged. So what's the alternative?
The alternative is to shift our focus from short-term resolutions to long-term financial habits. It's about creating a sustainable financial lifestyle rather than setting arbitrary goals that we may or may not achieve.
That makes sense. But how do we go about doing that?
Well, it starts with understanding our current financial situation. This means taking a hard look at our income, expenses, debts, and savings. Once we have a clear picture, we can start making informed decisions about our money.
Right. Well, that's what it sounds like we should be doing all year round, not just in January.
Exactly. Financial wellness is an ongoing process, not a once-a-year event. It's about making small, consistent changes that add up over time. For example, automating your savings or investing a portion of your income each month.
Oh, I like that idea. So instead of saying, I'm going to save $5,000 this year, you might set up an automatic transfer of $100 to your savings account each week.
You've got it. And here's a surprising statistic. According to a study by the Financial Conduct Authority, people who set up automatic savings are 4 times more likely to achieve their financial goals than those who don't.
Wow, that's exactly the kind of motivation people need to hear. But what about those who are struggling with debt? How can they build good financial habits?
That's a great question. For those dealing with debt, the first step is to stop accumulating more. This might mean cutting up credit cards or freezing them in a block of ice, whatever it takes to stop the cycle of debt.
And then what?
Then it's about creating a realistic repayment plan. The snowball method, where you focus on paying off the smallest debt first, can be really effective. It gives you quick wins and builds momentum.
So if we had only known these strategies earlier, we could have avoided the whole resolution cycle altogether.
Well, hindsight is 20/20, you know? But it's never too late to start. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Every small step towards better financial habits is a win.
I like that perspective. It takes some of the pressure off. What about investing? That's something a lot of people resolve to do more of in the new year.
Investing is crucial for long-term wealth building, but again, it's not about making a grand resolution to invest more. It's about understanding your risk tolerance and creating a diversified portfolio that aligns with your goals.
And how do you suggest people go about doing that?
Well, one approach is to start with low-cost index funds. These provide broad market exposure and are a great way for beginners to dip their toes into investing. And here's an interesting fact. Over the past 30 years, the S&P 500 index has returned an average of about 10% annually.
That's impressive. But what about the risks? The market can be pretty volatile.
You're absolutely right. That's why it's important to have a long-term perspective. Day-to-day market fluctuations shouldn't worry you if you're investing for the long haul. It's about time in the market, not timing the market.
That makes sense. So instead of resolving to get rich quick, we should be focusing on steady, consistent growth over time?
Exactly. And that brings us back to the idea of habits over resolutions. It's not about making drastic changes overnight, but about building sustainable financial practices that you can maintain year-round.
I'm starting to see how this approach could be much more effective than traditional resolutions. Any final thoughts on how people can start implementing these ideas?
Well, I'd say start small. Choose one financial habit you want to improve. Maybe it's tracking your expenses or setting up that automatic savings transfer we talked about earlier. Focus on that for a month or two until it becomes second nature. Then, move on to the next habit.
That sounds doable. And I suppose the key is consistency, right?
Absolutely. Consistency is key. And remember, it's okay to have setbacks. The important thing is to keep moving forward. Financial wellness is a journey, not a destination.
Well, this has been eye-opening. I think our listeners will have a lot to think about as they approach their finances in the coming year.
I hope so. And here's a final thought to leave everyone with. Your financial habits today are shaping your financial future. So, what kind of future do you want to create?
That's a powerful question to end on. Thanks for this insightful discussion.
Thank you, and thanks to all our listeners. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Here's to building better financial habits in the year ahead.